Welcome to the most advanced trading simulator in the world. And I don't tout that in a nonchalant manner. This is absolutely amazing. One of the programs that I played with when I was younger was the Patrician. It was a DOS game, and you loaded several disks and you got to see a little bit of history. You know, games used to be like that when you get to learn a little bit of something about the world around you without just hack and slash, right? But I mean to tell you, what I'm about to show you is going to either really make you giddy or it's going to frighten you. So let's just get started. And I'll put everything into context as I go along. What we're going to do is we're going to play with ChatGPT. And if you haven't actually messed with it, which I'm sure you've heard of it, if you haven't, that's okay. I'm sure there's a lot better YouTubes than me about this. But ChatGPT is a chat box that works off of a very sophisticated algorithm where it actually, I think where ChatGPT really shines is the language parsing. It can understand what you're saying and acquire the data that it needs to answer your question, but at the same time, it retains the answer that you provide for it in order to make connections to. If it doesn't understand something fully, it will finally do, because it can make those connections. And I think that's the scary part about it from the standpoint that it's really accurate. And when I say that this is the most advanced trading simulator in the world, I mean that I'm going to copy less than 50 lines of text into ChatGPT, and I'm going to turn it into the most advanced simulator game that you've ever seen. Okay, let's get started. So I've started a new chat with ChatGPT, and following the directions here, and I'm going to leave a link from this in below, but you just copy the text here. I'm going to do this kind of sloppily because of my generic video taking circumstances. So sure thing, please provide rules section 1. And this is great. This is just like Amiga. You know, you can load the disks, and that's exactly what you're doing. By loading these lines of text, you're loading disks. Just think of that and feel good about it. So I'm loading the next section. It says, great, load me section 2. I'm going to load section 2. If you notice here, you know, this isn't lines of code. Man, I'm really having a problem with this. This isn't lines of code. This is text. I'm telling this thing what to do in English. And it's building all the code around it. You won't appreciate that until you see what happens. And, you know, we're going to play around with this. We're going to laugh. We're going to be surprised. And then I'm going to tell you what I think. So we got section 4. And mind you, I'm not copying this from somebody else. I built this. And mind you, I built this with ChatGPT. I conversed with it in order to make this game. There were a lot of issues. There were a lot of problems that I had to overcome. And I had to chat with GPT in order to overcome those issues. That's significant. That's scary, actually. Because now we're breaking into the realm of I'm getting rid of human intuition. And I'm relegating that to an AI. And man, if you didn't appreciate all the tragedy that happened around the pandemic, maybe you won't appreciate that. But I'm going to get into that in the end. I'm not going to naysay this. This is, I mean, the technology, if you're looking at it from a strictly technology standpoint, wow, this is amazing. Did it ask me for section 7? I forgot what I was doing. I'm so bewildered by all this mess. This is section 6, section 7. Great. When I say bewildered, I really have only been working with ChatGPT for a couple of weeks. You know, I've been so busy with work. This rolled out, you know, a few months ago, and there's a lot of other people that have a lot better things to say about it than I do, because they have a lot more experience. So if you really want to know ChatGPT, you know, that's not what this video is about. I just made a game with it. Okay, so now I'm done entering in all the rules. I've loaded all my disks, and it's saying to start the game. Start game. Now, to appreciate this, I'm a history buff, and I like to find correlations between history and what we're dealing with now, to understand what we're dealing with now, so we can have an effective conversation on how to deal with what we're dealing with right now. And there's a lot of things that we're dealing with right now, and a lot of things that are being buried, you know, like an ostrich sticking his head in the sand, or her head in the stand. Yeah. So I'm going to start the game before I bury myself even deeper. Welcome to the world of the Hanseatic League. You are a trader with a small ship, a handful of crew members, a burning desire to make your fortune. As you navigate the ports and the cities of the Hanseatic League, you will encounter other traders, pirates, and political factions, all vying for power and profit. With skill, cunning, and a little bit of luck, you can rise to the top and become the most successful trader in the league. But be warned, the road to success is long and fraught with peril. You will face unexpected events, treacherous weather, and difficult decisions that will test your mettle as a trader and a leader. Before you begin, please tell me your name, which will be recorded in your player's diary and the game log. Now, grant you, I didn't write any of that. When I did those 50 lines of text, none of that text was in it. Just saying. My name. My beautiful grandfather, Johann Moots, who was a Hessian stolen by Frederick to pay for some debts and sent to the UK to fight in a war that he didn't belong to be in. He was a farmer. Welcome, Johann Boots. You find yourself in a bustling city of Lubeck. And, did you notice the umlaut? With a small ship named Sea Serpent, a crew of 5, and 100 gold coins in your possession. It is currently springtime and the weather is clear and mild. As a new trader, you have a lot to learn about the world of the Hanseatic League. Your diary and logbook will be your important tools, as they will help you keep track of your progress, manage your resources, and make informed decisions. What will you do next? I didn't write any of that. When I had you copy all those sections in the file that I'm going to give you below in the link, which I hope you use so that you can be aware of what this thing does. Sorry, I'm not looking in the camera because this isn't really super professional. This is just like, man, I was schizo after a couple of weeks of working with this and realizing what was happening. You know, in all honesty, I'm a web developer and I've had a lot of sites breached lately. And I was wondering, why is all this thing happening all of a sudden? But I realized, you know what? There's a lot of people that think they know what they're doing and they're accessing ChatGPT and they're looking at, oh, wow, this site's under Cloudflare. How do you circumvent Cloudflare? You ask ChatGPT. How do you circumvent Cloudflare? It'll tell you 7 reasons. Well, you can home in on a reason and ask, how does that work? It'll tell you. You can be an absolute imbecile about the internet. Now, I don't mean that in a derogatory standpoint. I mean, not all of us understand all the different technologies and understand their ramifications. But an absolute imbecile to a particular technology can become an expert and deploy something that they don't understand. Let's get back to the game. Welcome, Johann Moots. Yeah, we went through all that. I have 100 gold coins. You know what? And as a history buff and a fun thing, gold coins. That probably puts us in about the 1300s of the Hanseatic League, because we had marks, we had other forms of money during the times of the Hanseatic League. So what year is it? What year is it? It's 1375. That's gold coins. That's not marks yet. This is the most advanced, historically accurate trading simulator, and I built it with 50 lines of code. What would you do next? What kind of ship do I have? You have a small trading ship. It's a sea serpent. The ship is good condition and has enough space to carry a decent amount of cargo. However, it's not very fast and heavily armed. So you may want to avoid confrontations with or heavily armed. So it's not heavily armed. And actually, a Hanseatic League, you were just, because of all of the issues, and they were trying to circumvent a lot of the things that were going on with pirates. And I've made videos in the past kind of talking about the growth of the internet and its unbarred and unregulated stance in the industry and changing commerce. And then you enter in pirates because of that aspect, right? So I just find a lot of fascinating correlations between the Hanseatic League and the growth that they had to make in trading and passing merchandise that, made serious changes to people's lives. Anyway, so here we look at, okay, so it's just a generic ship. This is too early to say that it's a specific type of ship that was mass produced. This wasn't a ship that was mass produced because of the time frame. So it's really hard. So it can't tell me. But let me just ask. It's so accurate. I mean, it was a caravel, where you need, 20 or 30 crew to run it. The caravels haven't happened yet. Same thing with a cog. It's a huge ship, but you didn't need that many people to run it. Doesn't have that much sail. That hasn't happened yet. It's working on the fact that it doesn't have all the information, and it's thrown us into this time period of the Hanseatic League, actually right at kind of the beginning. And if you run the script, you will find that you'll randomly be put in different times between these centuries. 1300, 1400, 1500. You're going to have the correct money. You're going to have the correct ships for that era. You're going to have the correct political figures. 50 lines of code. I'm not looking in the camera. I'm sorry. I'm not that. You have to find another YouTube specialist for that. This isn't even edited. I don't have time for that. I got too much work to do. I'm just throwing this out there. Okay, let me get back to playing the game. So there's a logbook. All right. There's a logbook associated with all your property, because in this game you can purchase property in any of the Hanseatic cities. You can there's a logbook associated with those properties, and as you can hire people to work in those properties to create goods and take those goods and sell them other places. And you know, if you physically as a person, as a leader, are, like for instance, you're on a voyage to Rostock and from Lubeck, you're not going to hear about what's going on in Riga if you've got a warehouse there, because how are you? You know, there's no cell phones. You're going to get a post mail. That's exactly what happens in this game. It figures the weather for the time of year. It figures when that post mail is going to make it. And it knows that you're heading to Riga, but it may know that you've been busy. It might be sending mails to different cities, and you'll get mails at different cities at different times, and that mails will be stamped, and you'll have to kind of reconcile that in your head and saying, well, this mail was sent a couple of months ago. That might not be accurate for exactly right now because I got this thing late because I got waylaid by some weather. The game plays with all of that because I told it to do it in 50 lines of code. Not because I'm smart. You understand where I'm going with this? So, I would like to see my I would like to see my my ship's logbook. There are sections in it, as you mentioned. I'm curious what they are. I'm going to be wordy here because I want you to appreciate the fact that I'm a little dyslexic. So I tend to do things backwards a little bit. And certainly, Johan, to make your way to the ship's office, you'll find your logbook. The logbook is organized into the several sections according to ship information, crew information, trading records, maintenance, and commissions. The very first thing that I always go to, I mean, you know, I'm a company man. I want to know who's working with me and what their strengths are. I would like to see my crew information. I think we already looked at that, right? We have me, a captain, in charge of the ship. We have Hans Reinke. Hans is experienced sailor who has been with your crew for several years. He is responsible for steering the ship and navigating through rough waters. Got a lookout, got a cook, deckhand. Curious. I'm not sure about this ship, so I'm just going to ask it point blank. How many people does it take to sail this ship? You require a minimum of 3 people. Okay. Wow, this is like an old ship. It's going to go slow. I got plenty of people, but you know, I'm not feeling safe with that. I want a few more sailors. I need a surgeon. I wouldn't mind a tradesman because I don't want to do all that work myself. I wouldn't mind a few guard because we do have pirates, and if pirates decide that they want to board me, you know, I want a few guards. And I need some extra sailors to do some of the work around here. Helmsman, I don't have a first mate. I have a lookout. Gosh, well, I'm going to go ahead and call Hans. Look for Hans Rinke. I want to talk to him about hiring a surgeon. Some more deckhands. And a few guards, and and some deckhands. Oh, I already got deckhands. And an expert trader. You search for crew information. Hence, he is currently at the helm of the ship, steering through choppy waters. You walk over to him and start a conversation. I did not realize. I thought I was docked. I'm not docked. I guess I'm moving. Hans listens attentively as you explain your requirements. After some consideration, he responds, Captain, I agree with hiring a surgeon, more deckhands and guards would be beneficial for the safety and efficiency of the crew and the ship. As for our expert trader, we could certainly use one to help us make more informed trading decisions and potentially increase our profits. I didn't write any of that. This changes gaming in 180 degrees. If you don't appreciate all the lines of code that would go into just producing this dialogue that we've just had, then you don't appreciate the strength of this thing. This is Star Trek holodeck without being able to view it. And I'm guarantee you, with this kind of technology, that's not going to be far along. Think about it. However, it's difficult to find such a person who is willing to join our crew and share their knowledge. Hans suggests that you start your search for a few crew members in the next port city you visit, as there may be people available to hire and seeking employment. He also advises that you be careful about selecting new crew members, as these skills and personalities can greatly impact the success of your crew and trading ventures. With that, you thank Hans for his input and return to your duties, determining to find new crew members and your ship's needs. So, I didn't realize that. Sorry for the garbage on the screen. This isn't exactly, professionally done, right? But I didn't realize, just how advanced this thing was until I started playing with it. So, okay. I want to look again at my crew roster. Please show me my, I'm returned to my office and show me my crew log. Johann Moots, Hans Rinke, Fritz, Peter Bauer. If you look back up here, I don't know, where was that at? It's all there. Let's see, Peter Bauer. Oh, interesting. We've got we've got Frederick Bauer, got a Martha Schneider. So we do have some mixing of names here. That's interesting. But I'd like to put this into context. It took a little bit of conversation with this program to talk to it about what exactly do you save in your log file or your game log, and how you reconcile it. How do you say, okay, so you generated this content based on my request. I want you to save it, and I want you to reconcile it through the game, because I want this information consistent. I want this information to make sure that everything matches all the way down the line. And that's really important for a trader game, which you say that, okay, how much money do I have on board? Yeah, 300 gold coins. Did it tell me that before? I don't even remember. Dun, 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 dun. I'm just, this doesn't have to be perfect. Like I said, if I look at this, as I mentioned, this is 0.03. I mean, this is beta. I'm sure this is going to get really good as it goes along. And I'm going to figure out how it goes along. The fact that we have 5, I've messed with this a bit, and there's been fluctuations in a number of people on the ship. Now the number of people on the ship are the same. Now we're just dealing with first names. The last names were the same, but now the first names. But the idea is that the data that is being retained with these ships is carrying through, even via session. This is one of the interesting things I found about ChatGPT. If you were to close your browser, most browsers these days, if you close them, the session data dies. And then you bring it back up, and session data is gone. But it picks you up at login and it tries to revitalize things, but most of the session data is gone. And if you were to put ChatGPT to the ringers and you would say, hey, do you remember things from session to session? It's going to tell you no, because that's what it was told to tell you. But if you don't talk about session, if you don't talk about the fact that you're playing a game, in fact, if you look at the very first lines of my code, it says, I would like to perform the function of a text adventure game. If I was to ask it to be a text adventure game, it would tell me, I can't do that. But I can show you how it's done. You get my meaning? It can do it. But it's just how it's like talking to somebody. It's like talking to a criminal. You can talk to it all day long and try to suss it up and say, hey, you did this job. Why aren't you fessing up to it? And why aren't you acknowledging the fact that you did this? And they'll talk all around it and they'll have all these excuses. You are talking to a criminal. And if you understand that you're talking to a criminal, you'll understand how to talk to it and get the things that you want. You can build a game. How much money do I have on board? You have 300 gold. Hey, this ship is amazing. It's exactly what I needed to trade with. Hey, you're glad to hear that, Johan. The ship you have been is valuable asset and will help you on your trading ventures throughout the Hanseatic League. With careful management and strategic trading decisions, you should be able to turn a profit and expand your fleet even further. How much money do I have? As mentioned earlier, you currently have 300 gold coins on board the ship. What is my cargo? Can I see my cargo manifest? Certainly. You open up your ship's log. There's my cargo manifest. How many tons is that? It's about 70 tons. How many tons can my ship hold? This ship is a medium-sized trading vessel and can hold up to 100 tons. That's pretty good. Because this is 1300s. Where are you going to find specific information on ships in the 1300s? Unless you pulled them out of the mud in the Thames. I kid you not. As you travel around, don't look over, there are some things I need to adjust. This is going to get better and better if I ever have time to work on it. I'm too busy. Take the text, make it better. Understand where you break it and why. It's all about vernacular. The thing is, and what I'd like to say is that already people are posting content of letters. They're asking it to do letters. They're asking it to write grants. They're asking it to write bids. They're asking it to talk about things, and then they're posting what it says because it says it so much better than they can. In 8 months, you're going to see so much data on the internet that was written by this thing. But the person that posted it is going to say, hey, I wrote that. Now, mind you, this thing only goes up to 2021. What happens when they start taking this thing and looking over recent information and upgrading it? This thing is going to start reading its own text because it's going to be planted everywhere on the internet. People have given up their human intuition to give it to an AI because it's easier. What is the world going to look like in 8 months? I'm going to leave a link in the description below. You have to see it to believe it. Thanks for your patience.